1 and 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 and 1. 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right. Then we walk back to the excavate, don't we, and go to our bikes.
Castrol Honda's official launch for the 2000 World Superbike season took place in March.
Very good, boys. I'm impressed.
By October, they had secured a World Championship title for their rider, 26-year-old Colin Edwards, the Texas Tornado.
Good ride.
After an emphatic double win at the penultimate round in Oschersleben, Germany, Edwards had one hand on the championship crown. But like every good story, there's always a sting in the tail.
Some people say, man, you're crazy, especially in America, you know. I mean, a lot of people that don't really understand what we do, man, that's nuts, that's crazy, but they think we're out here racing for, you know, $5,000 or something. They don't realize the magnitude of it.
To run a top-flight team for a season costs around $10 million. Castrol Honda employ 25 staff, of which 15 are assigned to their Superbike program. They've already arrived at the circuit, unloading 3 transporters full of equipment. Everyone helps out, not least Edwards' chief mechanic, Adrian Gorst.
Yeah, rearing to go. Rearing to go. I hope so. That's the plan. That's the plan, been the plan all year, but it hasn't always worked out. But, no, I mean, we want to make amends for what happened in August here. You know, we had a reasonably good practice, good qualifying. I think we were second on the grid by 0.003 of a second or something, and we could have won here that weekend, and we ended up with a 5th and a 10th or something. So we want to show them what we can really do. You know.
After 6 years of racing the RC45, Honda believed there was a market for a twin-cylinder superbike. The VTR was unveiled, a 1000cc V-twin machine, which they hoped would rival the similar engine configuration of Ducati that had been so dominant the previous year. Pre-season testing had proved the new VTR competitive, and the team's claims that it could win the title for Honda in the bike's maiden years seemed to be a distinct possibility. But a bitter blow was to strike. Aaron Slight, who had ridden for Castrol Honda since the team formed 7 years earlier, was experiencing headaches and impaired vision during a test session in Australia. After a scan, he was found to be suffering from bleeding in the brain and underwent emergency surgery in Sydney. His career looked finished. Kiwi Simon Crafar, a former British 500 GP winner, was drafted in just weeks before the season opener in South Africa. But Crafar never managed to get totally comfortable with the machine and would struggle. So the team's hopes lay with Edwards, runner-up in the championship the previous year. He was fired up and ready to take on Cole Fogarty, the 4 times world and current champion. Fogarty, the 34-year-old Brit, riding for Ducati, was quite simply the most respected rider in recent years. The stage was set for the first race of the championship.
Moments away from the start of the opening round of the 2000 World Superbike Championship. From right of screen, it's Corsa, Edwards on the new Honda, Fogarty and Pier Francesco Chieli. They are your front 4. Seconds away, watch the lights. Away we go, it's the Honda of Edwards who gets away to the best start. So too Carl Fogarty, Corsa not the best start. As they head down into this, time is running out, Noriyuki Haga, side by side with Colin Edwards. It's the wrong side of Edwards, now he cuts back on the inside. Now watch Haga, and Corsa has got Chieli. The Aprilia rider, Haga on the inside, he's there!
It looks a little bit close, but you don't do anything really stupid, you know? And Haga and Fogarty are definitely 2 of those guys that you enjoy being close to because they're professionals, you know? And I mean, you got some guys out there who will chop across your nose and do stuff that maybe is not kosher. But yeah, it was with Haga there. The first race was awesome.
With only 3 corners remaining in this race, the only chance that
Colin Edwards has is to get down the inside here now, and he's done it. He's through. Colin Edwards has gone through. There's nothing I don't think that Harger can do about that. They're side by side. Who's going to be the bravest in the chicane? And it's Colin Edwards is in the front again. Harger, I don't honestly think can do anything. One corner remaining.
I mean, I wanted to win it, obviously, and I wanted to win it for Honda as well because they, so much work had gone into the bike. And first, we could get to the first race and win the first race, and that'd be the icing on the cake. And yeah, once the race was over, I really didn't think about it until after the day. You know, after both races were done, I thought, man, that's something. You know, won the first race, brand new bike, and yeah, I think it was important, but I didn't realize it at the time.
The honours went to Noriyuki Haga on a Yamaha in race 2, but his celebrations were short-lived after a drug sample taken tested positive for ephedrine, a banned substance. Haga was deducted the 45 points he'd earned that day. His team appealed, but it would be another 6 months until a final outcome was heard. Former world champion Troy Corser followed his pole position in South Africa, with pole again at Phillip Island, the Australians' home event. This time he converted it into a win and gave the new Aprilia team their first Superbike victory. But stealing the news in more dramatic fashion was Carl Fogarty.
It was his own fault. I mean, he was riding kind of like a madman that weekend anyway, you know, and if he crashes trying to keep up with me, I can't control that.
Fogarty suffered a complicated fracture of his left humerus, and the world champion was unable to recover sufficiently to continue racing. A great career was cut short.
It's a shame that it happened, you know, and that he had to end his career that way, but hey, this is life, you know, things happen. An era is gone, I'll say that, you know, and Fogarty, whenever he was out there, he was the guy to beat, you know, and I'm not going to sit here and cream in my pants on how good he was, but he was, you know, he was a good rider. He's a 4-time world champion. What can you say? You know, he was a good rider.
Cheers, Colin. Sorry about that. Didn't insist.
Foggy's shirt.
Promotional duties took Edwards to the north of England, where he was reunited with teammate Aaron Slight, who was ready to get back on his bike.
Thank you. Cheers.
You've got all your operation all right.
Thank you, yeah.
It had been 3 months of extremely hard work, but he'd made the most incredible recovery from brain surgery.
To wake up the next day and talk to the doctor and him tell me that I should be normal was just, yeah, it was amazing. To start the year like we did was pretty terrible for everybody, you know, involved, my family and my team, and it's been a lot of hard work since then, and there's not been a lot of glory through it, you know. I'm really happy to come back to racing, and it was really good to get my licence back and all those sort of things, but they were objectives that I'd planned would happen.
Slight was back for the 4th round at Donington Park, but it was Edwards who led the way with pole position and his 2nd win of the season. The next round at Monza saw Aaron Slight heading for pole, until this happened at the final corner of his Super Pole lap. A brave effort by the Kiwi, but it was going to be his teammates' day yet again. The Texan taking his 3rd consecutive pole position and his 3rd victory of the year after 2 stunningly close races with the flamboyant Italian Suzuki rider Frankie Keeley. The technology and resources behind the bike's power unit is HRC, the Honda Racing Corporation. Working closely with the team's mechanics, they'd engineered Edwards into the outright lead in the championship for the first time, ahead of Haga, Keeley and Corser.
We get the satisfaction and the adrenaline rush at the racetrack, but at HRC there's 50 people who worked on this project, have put all their effort in and worked lots of late nights. Throughout the year they've worked 9 in the morning till 10 at night. They put a lot of effort into making our bike go faster, to perform and do better. And people sometimes forget that we're just the sharp end of it, you know. There's a big organisation behind us who have got us where we are, you know. In the end, we make the crucial decisions at the racetrack, but without the people behind us, we wouldn't be here.
For the long demanding straights of Hockenheim, HRC produced an engine with increased top speed, and to the watching world, the championship campaign seemed to be going to plan. However, behind the scenes, alarm bells started to ring.
They basically sacrificed what you call mid-range and bottom-end power for top-end power. So at the fast circuits like Hockenheim and Monza, it was brilliant. It was really quick. Whereas when we went to Misano and Valencia, which is a lot more tight and twisty, it didn't have the punch out of the corners and it couldn't ride it. That was basically what it was.
Suited style,
yeah.
basically.
It's what you call engine character, and it was completely different to what we had previously. So we went back to what we had previously, and everything was better then. For Laguna, that was. Went back to what we had previously, and it was, you know, back on the rostrum again.
Time and the Mississippi River, she's a going dry. The interest is up and the stock market's down, and you're only getting mugged if you go downtown.
We listen to everything from Hank Williams Jr., Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, up to Marilyn Manson, ZZ Top, Frank Sinatra, you name it. We listen to all of it. We're best friends, and we got a mutual respect, I guess, with one another, and it helps that we're married. You know, I don't know if you call it soulmate or whatever you want to call it, but I mean, we're just right for one another. You know, we grew up in the same town, and we got the same beliefs and the same. We think about the same things at the same time. You know, and it's hard to find that. I think that's more important than any racing I'll ever do. You know, you can find somebody to spend the rest of your life with, and all the better. Racing will come and go. I look at people who get famous or get a little bit of money and get a big head, and I've seen them all through my life, you know. There's no reason to turn into an asshole. You just, I mean, that is my perspective is that I'm the same as you. I'm the same as, we're all the same, you know. Got 2 arms and 2 legs, and we both walk down the street together, but I just happen to ride motorcycles a little bit better, which is, you know. You put me on a racetrack, I'll probably try and run you off the track, but as long as we're out here talking, then it's fine, you know.
It's August, and the first of 2 visits to Brands Hatch. Despite being sidelined for the season's opening 3 rounds, Aaron Slight lies 9th in the World Championship.
Aaron, can I have one of your sliders?
I'm going to use them. In my class.
Away from the crowded paddock, the riders can enjoy some relative peace and quiet in the comfort of their luxury motorhomes.